Hey, what's up, guys? In this week's video, I'm going to talk about something that I get asked quite a bit, and that is how I went from being a SWAT sniper to the team medic. And this is going to be a rather long story, so if you are a 5-second vertical video swiper, this not might be for you. I don't take any hard feelings about it. But if you are my tribe and you do like this content, please like and comment so that the algorithm knows the right people to show this content to. So my route to this position was very non-traditional. Like nowadays, most people go to some type of SWAT medic course and then they're integrated with the team. Well, almost 32 years ago, I came on to police as a full-time cop, right? So I worked patrol. I worked midnight, started on midnights, and then pretty much worked all the shifts, and then eventually made my way to SWAT tryouts, went through the tryout process, and went to the SWAT school. Okay, and then about a year after I had gone through SWAT school, I came to the unit, and I was a rookie doing all the rookie stuff, and then they asked for volunteers for a sniper position, so I volunteered. I went to sniper school and came back, and I was one of the unit snipers and also a breacher on the team because we've pretty much always used the snipers in breaching roles when we're not doing a call out, right? So I was a sniper and a breacher on the team, and after about 5 years, we had a hostage rescue call where a man shot and killed his wife and had 3 kids hostage in the house. We ended up rescuing the kids, and we ended up getting gold medals of valor for that. But then after that, the command that we had at the time, there was some drama, and I said, well, I think this is the time where I should exit stage left. And I did a swap with one of the guys that had recently gone to the SWAT school, who was at training, teaching defensive tactics and firearms, and I swapped with him. And I moved over to the training unit, and I was teaching defensive tactics and firearms at the time, primarily to in-service and recruit classes. And then one of the guys that had been with me through the SWAT school and come to the team, who had gone onto greener pastures in the fire service, he had told me, man, you got to come over. This is great. The job is great. The camaraderie, the brotherhood, yada, yada, yada. So I said, I really just wanted to be a SWAT guy, not really teaching recruits. So I applied, threw my hat in the ring, and lo and behold, I got hired. So I went to fire, but I stayed on as a reserve with police. So I went to the fire academy, minimum standards fire, and then went on to EMT, and then I went out on the field. And I was an EMT out on the field in a busy house in a high crime district. And at that time, I had applied to paramedic school and got in. And then I did my whole paramedic school while I was at that station. So I got a lot of at-bats every day, if you will, in that territory, right? So all the while, I was still a reserve with police, and I had been assigned as a reserve to SWAT. So I had been saying for many years that we needed to have medics on the team. That one was close. I said that we needed to have medics on the team, but even back then, there was nothing in place that would have sustained that type of continuing education as a paramedic on a SWAT team. And obviously, you don't know what you don't know. So I was just saying what a lot of people say, oh, can't you just take cops and make them medics? And I know that now that that's not a thing. I mean, it is a thing, but I just don't agree with it. And you can, whatever, argue in the comments. You're not going to change my mind. But so now I'm in fire and I'm still a reserve. And then fast forward, one of our guys during an operation, one of my closest friends in the unit, gets shot in the face during an operation, right? And then he takes a round to the jaw. He's knocked silly and has to go to a bathroom while the guy's continue on dealing with the subject. And he's out of it and he's seeing shapes and stuff. So, I mean, that goes to the whole disarming an armed combatant, but that's a whole other video. So when the rescue truck that was a few blocks away, who had no clue what was going on inside the house because we didn't have comms with them back then, when they brought him out, they were completely surprised and they wanted him to completely take all his weapons off before putting him in the rescue truck because we have a policy that says that you can't have firearms in a rescue truck. But be it as it may, they got him to the trauma center, and then at the trauma center, he was visited by one of our commissioners who asked, what can we do for this never happen again? What can we do to make things better? And he said, he actually didn't say because he was shot in the mouth. He wrote down, we need SWAT medics. He knew I had been trying to be the squeaky wheel that we needed SWAT medics, and he knew because he was a special ops guy in the military and he knew the value of having medics in the unit. So he told her that and she said, I'll take care of it. So at that point in time, I was driving a ladder truck and I was approached by one of our higher up chiefs and asked me what I thought about the topic and what I thought about sending medics to the SWAT school. And I said, well, Chief, you have regular cops that carry a gun on their hip every day of their lives, and they can't pass the firearms qual, or they can't pass the school at the level of shooting that we expect. So this might be a pipe dream of even sending firefighters to our SWAT school and in the hopes to get some medics at the end. So I said, what we can do is we put out the announcement and see what happens. Put out the announcement, and then this will be a whole other video of how our process or how our program got started. But in a nutshell, that's how it got started. He took her around to the face. The commissioner put the ball into play. But at that time, our union didn't want cops carrying guns. Sorry, firefighters playing cop carrying guns. So they were pretty against it, against SWAT medics. But myself and the other guy, the one that got me to come over to fire, were still reserves. And they were okay with us two going. So since we were already SWAT guys and we were paramedics, they sent us, we were able to get the program off the ground, and then we were detached. We were the first two detached to the unit, where I was there for about 3 years because there was nobody else to replace us. So in that time, we realized, again, you don't know what you don't know. I went to a SWAT seminar, rather, and there I learned about TCCC and that how we did paramedic on the street wasn't the same as how you do it in a non-permissive environment. So we learned that, and we learned what we didn't know, and we made a ton of friendships and connections with guys in special ops units that come through here quite a bit, that train with us and use us as the op force. And through those relationships, we got further training. We got our first set of gear that we got, used gear, sent to me at my house from a facility in San Diego. And I'll leave it at that. And that's how we got our first gear. And that's how him and I got started for the first 3 years, until they were able to come up with auxiliary class for the medics that successfully passed that first school. And they made an auxiliary police academy so that they were able to carry. So that's how I ended back up here as a SWAT medic full time. I was here for 3 years. And then once we had those guys in the loop, being able to be rotated in and out, we started our rotating 1 year at a time here in the team, right? So when I'm not here, I'm back on the helicopter flying our trauma calls in the trauma helicopter, which obviously some people out there don't know what a trauma helicopter is. And, before you make ridiculous comments, look at my other videos and see what I do, so you know what a trauma helicopter is. So that's it. That's how I ended up here. Very non-traditional. I mean that non-traditional. There's really no traditional way of becoming a SWAT medic, but most people go through a course and they are knighted SWAT medic, and then they are brought on a team. It's usually like a 1 week gentleman's course or something like that. And if you're interested in our 3 week medic selection, or 3 weeks of hell, I'll put that up here somewhere so you can easily see it. And until next time, stay frosty. Remember, the time chooses you, so be safe out there. Peace.